Alan, a busy week for Hibs. That's going to be 3 matches in the space of 6 days. How do you feel the squad have coped with the workload?
Well, we are 2/3 through it, so I don't see there being a problem. It's something that is in the calendar, at some part in the season. Yes, players have less time to recover, but we've given them the best opportunity to refresh the legs, and they've had massages, cold plunges. So I don't see there being anything significant into the fact that we've had 3 games in 6 days. We've come through 2 of them with maximum points, and it would be nice just to finish the last one off and get 3 points against Cowdenbeath tomorrow.
You've spoken about how to kind of keep the players fresh physically. Mentally, it is obviously quite draining winning games of football. It can be. How have you kind of kept them fresh psychologically as well?
Well, they've still got a lot to play for, so I think it's not easy, but it's a lot easier keeping players refreshed, revitalised when you're winning games of football. It's, as footballers, we always want to win. As a manager, you're looking to keep them on the toes, not letting them lose focus or attention. You go from game to game, and we are literally in the stage of the season now where we are ticking the games off, and at this moment in time, we've been doing that very well, and there's going to be no change. From now to the end of the season, we know exactly what our goals are. We know where we want to be. We know what we have to do, and if we keep doing that, we're going to make it difficult for the teams that, well, at this moment in time, are just below us.
The hard work is starting to pay off. We are now in a strong position heading into the final furlong of this season. I listened to an interview that you did recently where you said when you were a centre-half it was about preventing problems before they actually happen. Do you feel as a manager, when you're in this type of position as well, it's the same thing, to kind of identify what's happening with the team and addressing issues before they can actually materialise?
Well, I think you're always evaluating your squad all the time. No matter what the results are, you're always constantly addressing situations that happen. You're always constantly monitoring the health of the group, whether someone's feeling a little bit tired or someone's feeling stiff in certain areas of their legs or their hips. So we have to monitor and take all these things into action. We've got obviously masseuses who come in and give the lads a rub after games. We're trying to manage them as best we can and prevent any niggles or strains or injuries from occurring. But unfortunately, they are part and parcel of the game and all. But I think the one thing that we've done up to now, touch wood, is that we've been quite fortunate and professional in that area, where we haven't had a lot of soft tissue injuries.
Just looking at the next game then, Cowdenbeath at Central Park. Now, whether we like it or not, and I know we immediately focus on ourselves, the nature of being part of a 2-team city is that people always compare our results to that of our city rivals' Hearts. They obviously put 10 past Cowdenbeath. How important is it, do you feel, that we win, and we win handsomely over there in Fife?
3 points. That's it. Doesn't matter whether you win 1-0, 10-0, 3-1. They all evaluate to the most important thing, and that's 3 points. So, to be honest, I couldn't care less about what this score was. We want to go to Cowdenbeath tomorrow I think it'll be very similar to the conditions that we played earlier on the season where we won. It can be a heavy pitch. It can cut up. You have to play to the conditions. You have to be professional. You have to make the right decisions. But that's not to say that we want to get away from playing football. We want to express ourselves. We know we're a good football team. We want to, when it's on, get the ball down and play. And even though the pitch is going to be heavy, you've still got to play. We don't want to spend a lot of the time with the ball in the air and watching it bypass our midfield or things like that. So we have to believe in what we want to do. We have to stick to our guns and be brave. Play the conditions when it's on, and play them and put them under pressure when we have the ball. That's the most important thing. Is if we've got the ball, then we'll make them work. We'll make them tired. We'll hopefully cause them to make mistakes. And then when you do that, we have to make sure that we capitalise on them.
Obviously, elsewhere, another external peripheral factor is the fact that Rangers have now appointed a new manager in Stuart McCall. Obviously, they're behind us in the table right now. I mean, do you feel that potentially could have a factor and an upsurge in their form heading into our showdown with them next weekend?
First of all, congratulations to Stuart. I've come across him on many occasions, and he's a very knowledgeable and respectful coach, and he was on my pro licence. So he's very good. It's unfortunate what happened at Motherwell, but he's got an opportunity at a big club now. But to be honest, no matter what happens there, if we keep winning our games of football, it's irrelevant, and it really is. And that's why I want to keep focusing on what we do. If we can pick up maximum points tomorrow, they've got a game against Livingston at home, then they've got Alloa at home, and then they come to us. So if we can pick up 3 points tomorrow, then they will be coming to our game knowing that they're 2 points behind us. And that in itself puts pressure on them to try and make sure that they don't get beaten in the game. If we can win the game, then it takes us 5 points clear, if I'm not mistaken, of them.
It always takes a bit of a bedding in period as well, as you learned yourself here at Hibs, getting the group to play the way you want them to play. So potentially that could happen over there as well.
Yeah, it can do. Stuart's coming into a team that's not playing with a lot of confidence, and unfortunately, when a new manager comes in, it can have an initial effect. But that initial effect will only last for a certain amount of time, and then obviously, everything else falls into place. He's got new ideas. He'll have different ideas to what they've been used to. He may want them to play a different way. All of them things, when you put them into the pot, are not going to happen in one game. So hopefully, it takes a long time for them to hit the ground running.
You obviously experimented a wee bit in midweek at Wednesday against Livingston. Martin Boyle employed as a right wing back. How do you feel he fared there, and is that an option that you potentially look at further down the line?
Yeah, I thought he did very well in the game. When you look at the chances and opportunities that he created, he got in behind their defence. He caused one of the biggest assets from getting forward. And we knew Talbot likes to get forward out of that team, so we wanted to try and pin them back and make sure he didn't venture forward. And I've got to say, from that point of view, it was a success. And then obviously when we had the ball, he got in behind them, he heard them, maybe being a little bit. It's not critical, but maybe we could have been, or he could have been better on his decision making with balls across the box, or maybe look to find and pick someone out. But I thought overall, on another day, he could have had 2 or 3 assists. He could have scored a couple of goals. So when you look at that as contribution to the game, then he's contributed to the game an awful lot.
There's not many teams in Britain that could have left out three of their most sort of influential players so far this season: David Gray, Scott Allen, Dominic Malonga. You managed to do that, and we still came out on top. So that must be reassuring.
Yeah, it was, and for me, it wasn't. It's not necessarily about it being a risk. When you've got good players that come into the team, you know, people will look at the other night and think, oh, we've just managed to scrape it and win the game 2-1, but you know, the game could have easily been 3 or 4-0, and I think that's the most important thing to look at. Yes, they scored late on, which would have put not a fair reflection on the game, but it happened. But I think it was a brilliant response and a great response to going behind, and I think that tells you how far we've come and all, because I don't necessarily think I would have got that response in the first week of the season.
Do you feel as well that the fact that we conceded so late on, it almost prompted that urgency that perhaps had been lacking at certain stages of the game in terms of being a bit more clinical in the final third? Because, as you say, we completely controlled for huge periods of the game, but there wasn't necessarily a necessity to score a second.
Well, I think that there was an urgency, but I think because of the way we play, there is at times lulls in the game and periods of the game where, you know, you keep possession, you keep working the opposition, you keep trying to make them tired. Listen, I've got to say, they just threw complete caution to the wind at the very end. They had centre backs playing centre forwards. They had about 4 strikers on the pitch, and that was not through anything. It was through desperation to just, we're losing the game. Let's just try anything. You've got to give obviously Mark and his team a bit of credit for that. Should we have dealt with the throw-in better? Yes, of course. But the most important thing, and the thing that we can't take away any facts from, is that we won the game 2-1. We've got another 3 points, and we had a great response to the other team drawing level with us.